Good evening, folks. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates.
This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates coming to you live from the crossroads of the West, Lake City, Utah. The time right now is 7:05 p.m.
Very clear on the backside of the sun, and then the minor 2.8 sun hitting the earth is located around 3.5 miles southeast of the earth now. The solar wind is also
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, wherever you might be in this world of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome you all to our show tonight. Folks, we are going to do as we have done for quite some time now, and we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. I would ask that everybody please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
America's finest, the United States military, in this case, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet Convention, giving us a pledge of allegiance, or giving us the national anthem, and prior to that, the host of the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015, giving us the Pledge of Allegiance, and we give them thanks for what they've done. We give our military, and I'm not even caring what branch of the military they're at, whether they're Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Air Force, whether they're United States Coast Guard or Space Force. We love these people. They do a magnificent job trying to protect us. We also want to honor our allied military forces wherever they might be as well. God bless you all. May you all return home to your families after your tours of duty end. God bless you, and thank you for your service. Folks, we have a lot to talk about, as we normally do. I'm not going to play games here. A lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is very serious. Very, very serious. Already Richard Smith has in our chat right now talking about a wildland fire over in Nova Scotia, Canada. And it's serious. There are at least 5 departments working that fire, as well as the Canadian federal people in there as well. They have jetliners flying in there with fire retardant, dumping retardant on the fire as well. It's a big deal. Now, I could not locate any pictures where I would be showing those to you. But guys, this is a huge fire. The report I got was at 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I have not had an update on that fire since. But this is a big deal. Richard Smith said the fire started about noon, so that makes sense that I got a report at 1 o'clock. The Digby Fire Department's flying out of town around 12:15 p.m. The Digby Fire Department is just one of, like I said, 5 or even 6 departments that will be fighting this fire. It's a big deal. And as soon as we have information about it, we'll let you know about it. Now, besides that fire, there's a lot of things happening. I'm going to show you a picture of snow. This is melting snow in the mountains east of Salt Lake. This is in the Wasatch Mountains east of Salt Lake City. As you can see, the roadway is now fairly clear of snow. There is ice out there as well, but this is only a small example of what is going on there just outside of Salt Lake City to the east in the mountains. This is huge. This is very bad. Okay? There's floods and landslides happening. Okay? All over. On this particular mountain, on this particular road, we've seen 3 landslides in the past 4 to 5 days. 3 or 4 landslides, in fact, blocking the road, and the fire department has come up and they have cut off access to people trying to get up this road, either to their homes or let people here visiting. There's only one other access road out of it, and it is so far plowed and pass-worthy. So they're letting people down that part of the roadway. But other areas are completely shut off due to snow being on the roadway and landslides and snow sliding over the roadway. It's a bad deal. We knew this was going to happen. We told people weeks ago that this was happening. Draper, Utah, over south of the Salt Lake City area. Draper, Utah is a community of about 45 to 50,000 people. There are people, I believe there's 3 to 4 homes in Draper, Utah just 2 weeks ago that slid down the mountain and were destroyed because of landslide activity. Now, the developer of those homes is promising to make good on what they've said to try to either get those homes rebuilt or repay the homeowners that moved into those homes that were built. We hope that that is what is going on. There's going to be a great deal of destruction, both private and governmental property, including these roads. This is not the only place, not just Utah, but many other places around the western United States. This is, like I said, a great big deal. Okay? I would not even be mentioning it if I was not concerned about it. Something else that we need to be watching is Mount St. Helens. We've talked about Mount St. Helens in the past. This is the 43rd year anniversary of Mount St. Helens going boom. 43 years, April 4th. Okay? There's a newspaper article out about it facing Mount St. Helens, and pictures and complete detailed narrative out there. You could probably locate this on the internet as I did, but this is also a big deal. Mount St. Helens is looking like it's preparing to go boom again. There's a lot of activity at Mount St. Helens regardless of what the agency says. Okay? Something else that's been going on. Here I located a earthquake map of Europe and Africa. You can see what I'm showing you here. This is also a big deal. USGS shows nothing. Not a dadgum thing here in Europe. 100 earthquakes over in Turkey and Syria, but you don't see USGS saying anything about it. Over 50 earthquakes over in Greece. You don't see USGS saying word one. Not nothing. Over around the Strait of Gibraltar, there's earthquakes, as you can see, over in Spain and the Portugal area. And just south of Spain, in the waterway that is just east of Gibraltar. Earthquakes over in the Azores as well. South America, you don't see much of anything in South America with USGS, and as you can see on these maps over on the bottom left, you can see earthquakes in South America. Now, I did not show anything over other than in the Indian Ocean here, but I did not show what's happening in the Pacific. We're going to show you that in a few minutes, but I want to show you what's going on. This is very concerning. I'm going to do a complete story about these earthquakes that are happening. I want everybody to be aware of everything that's going on. I believe this is serious go time, literally. Okay? Now this is a USGS map that I show you on a frequent basis. You're seeing the San Francisco Bay Area, the Southern Bay Area, and over here around Monterey Bay and out east. Okay? That's what's going on there. Let me back this out into the Pacific Ocean. Okay? You see Hawaii there. There are earthquakes in Hawaii. I'm going down to the South Pacific. Just between Tonga and Chile, down here in the South Pacific, there is a magma plume that's coming from deep within the earth up into the crust of the earth, just below the Pacific Ocean. There's a magma plume. That magma plume puts out magma all over the earth and gives it or sends it over to the volcanoes that are recharging. All the volcanoes are recharging. Let there be no mistake made about that. Look again at USGS here. Okay, they show one lousy earthquake over here in Kalunga, Tonga. This is a large 5.1 earthquake, but they don't show any other earthquakes over here in the Kermadec Islands to the south, over in Fiji, or over in New Zealand. There are earthquakes. They're just not showing them. Okay? Again, look what they're showing over here in Papua New Guinea, over here in Indonesia. They show 2 earthquakes. That's a crying shame. There's about 30 earthquakes over here between Papua New Guinea and Indonesia. They're lying through their teeth. If they omit it, folks, this is the reason I call it lying. Omission means omitting earthquakes. They're purposely omitting the earthquakes. That means they are lying. Omission is a lie. Omitting information is a lie. The agencies are lying to us. The preeminent seismic energy in the world, the USGS, United States Geological Survey, is not telling us any truths. Okay? A 4.7 over here in Papua New Guinea. This is 75 kilometers deep. Not a big deal. Okay? It's fairly much a it's not a surface quake, but it's just beneath the surface, 75 kilometers down. Very much a near surface earthquake. Okay? Very shallow earthquake. Over here, okay, this is Valdese, Indonesia. Valdese, Indonesia. This is the north central part of Indonesia. This is a moderate 4.3, 119 kilometers deep. Now, I'm not going to be bringing out the EMSC right now. I'm just showing you what is going on here. Notice what they're showing us. Nothing. Nothing. Okay? Look what they're showing us over here. This is Afghanistan. This is a 4.2 earthquake. Just south and east of there, this is Awantapur, India. Awantapur, India. Northern India. This is a 3.8. Over here in the Indian Ocean, we have a 4.7 here. This, folks, is in what they call the Owens fracture zone. The Owens fracture zone. Okay? This came up from a 5.0 over here in the mid-Indian Ocean earlier last week. A 4.7 here, 115 kilometers deep. Not really a big deal. Over here in Africa, okay, over here in Africa, we have a 4.7 here in Zambia, Africa. Okay, South Central Africa. This is 60, or excuse me, not 60. This is 10 kilometers deep. Okay, we go north. Okay, they're showing one lousy earthquake in Turkey. I just showed you at least 100. There's 140 earthquakes in Turkey. Okay, I picked that information up earlier today. There may be even more than that. They're showing us one. That might as well be zero. Okay? They're showing us one earthquake in Greece. There are over 50 earthquakes in Greece. Okay? There are earthquakes over here in Italy. They're not showing us any. There's earthquakes over here in Northern Europe that they're not saying anything about. Like I said, over here in France, Germany, Austria, Spain, not a thing here. Okay? There are earthquakes over here, over here in Iceland. Not a thing being said. Okay? All over the world there are earthquakes. There are earthquakes over here in northeastern Canada as well. There are 3 different earthquakes over here in northeastern Canada. They're not saying word one about. Okay? I feel like it's pointless with these people. Completely pointless. Over here in Puerto Rico, okay, I've explained a lot of what's going on here in Puerto Rico. I'm going to zoom in here to southwestern Puerto Rico. We have a group of earthquakes. This is a small swarm of earthquakes here. I've got a 2.2 magnitude earthquake highlighted here. This is 15.2 kilometers deep. That's where most of the earthquakes are, in that range. Okay? A 2.2 earthquake. This over here is another 2.3 earthquake to the west. With it is a 3.4. That's the largest of the earthquakes here in southwestern Puerto Rico. Why are we seeing swarms of earthquakes here? Because, folks, nearly 4 years ago, okay, 3.5 years ago on December 28th, December 26th and December 28th, 3.5 years ago, an agency of our own government here in the United States, and the agency is also spread now around the world. The agency detonated 3 facilities. I shouldn't say detonated. The agency turned on 3 facilities, this agency right here. Okay? Does everybody see that? The agency turned 3 facilities on. 1 in Norway, 1 in Russia, and 1 over in northwestern Australia. Okay? They turned these facilities on. What happened? They triangulated Puerto Rico, causing an 8.0 magnitude earthquake to hit southwestern Puerto Rico December 26th that year. If that wasn't bad enough, two days later on December 28th, they lit off another barrage of electromagnetic waves centered at Puerto Rico, causing an 8.4 magnitude earthquake to happen. Quite a bit of destruction. Millions of dollars in homes and businesses lay flattened because of those earthquakes. People were thrown out of their homes literally. Their homes became unlivable. And the last earthquake, the 8.4, folks, let me zoom in here. I want to show you something. Yes, there are people that live here. There are people that live here. This is not an unoccupied area. There was a natural monument here, a great big huge sandstone arch, similar to what you see in Arches National Park in Utah. That sandstone arch collapsed after the 8.4 major earthquake here 3.5 years ago. People live here. This is one of the major cities on Puerto Rico Island. People live here. People thrive here. And yet today, even today, we're seeing earthquakes as a result of those major earthquakes that happened as a result of human beings playing with electromagnetics. This is a 2.3 earthquake here in the harbor here. Further north here is a 2.7. Up here further north is a 3.4. A 3.4 near Guanica, Puerto Rico. My friend Dominic here lives here. Dominic is a police officer for the Puerto Rican police force. He's a captain with the department. We've had him here on the air. We're going to hopefully get him on the air again this week. But folks, this is what happens when stupid people get hold of a little bit of power. Okay? It's unreal what happens, guys. It's totally bizarre. We still have recurring earthquakes 3.5 years after a major earthquake caused by human hands. Over here in north central Puerto Rico, this is a 2.7 earthquake. This I don't think has anything to do with the earthquakes in southwestern Puerto Rico. Further north, out in the waters of the Caribbean, this is a 2.9 magnitude earthquake. Now, how did this happen? Because, folks, if you look up here to the north, we have a major earthquake fault here, the Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge. This is a major earthquake fault running from Guatemala over here in Central America. Right over here is Guatemala. Right here is also the same ridge, the Cayman Ridge. It stretches through the center of Guatemala over here, all the way out into the Caribbean. Then it makes a hard northerly turn. It goes up here. It goes just south of the Cayman Islands. Runs eastward past the Cayman Islands, just south of the Cayman Islands. Then it goes north of Jamaica. It skirts Cuba. It skirts Cuba. It goes north of Haiti and the Dominican Republic here, continuing east. Okay? Then it goes through the Caribbean over here north of Puerto Rico, dropping earthquakes as it moves. Another earthquake over here has happened because this is the Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands. This is 43 kilometers north of Charlotte Amalie, U.S. Virgin Islands. This is a 3.1 magnitude earthquake. Okay? All those earthquakes are a result of this Cayman Ridge. After the Cayman Ridge passes the Virgin Islands, it makes a sharp southwesterly turn. Okay? Or actually southeasterly turn. It goes past the Leeward Islands over here. Montserrat, for example, where we've had earthquakes because we have a volcano there. All of these islands are a result of volcanic action. Every last one of them. Even Puerto Rico is a result of a volcano erupting there. But we're having issues with volcanoes over here in Leeward Islands. But again, one of the reasons we get earthquakes besides volcanoes and magma is because this Cayman Ridge drops earthquakes in this area. The Cayman Ridge continues south until it gets upwards northeast of Venezuela, South America. Then it makes a westerly turn directly into northern Venezuela. And we've seen earthquakes right here at this harbor. We've seen earthquakes over here in this harbor right next to Grenada. Okay? But that is the Cayman Ridge. That's why we get earthquakes there. Okay? USGS is showing a 5.2 earthquake over here in Ecuador. This is just one earthquake here. There's one down south in central Chile. This is Vallenar, Chile, with a 4.6 moderate earthquake. There's at least 15 other earthquakes here in South America. Why are they only showing 2? Because, folks, they don't want to be held responsible for saying anything if anybody gets killed. They don't want any responsibility. What they're going to find out is they're going to one day be held accountable for their lies, their omissions. Their omissions. Okay? Also in the Pacific Ocean, we've had earthquakes over here in Japan. Okay? We cannot ignore what's going on over here. Folks, earlier this weekend, we had a major earthquake over here in Japan. Today we had another 4.9, 5.0 magnitude earthquake hit this area. These people are suffering. Okay? And this was not a 7.0. It was just short of that. It was a 6.2 or 6.3 that hit this peninsula here in western Japan. Now another 4.9, 5.0 has hit. Yes, there's people living here. Okay? This is a big deal. Japan's seen a very strong earthquake hit here. Not good. Not good at all. And I spoke with a friend of mine that lives here in Japan. He's a former U.S. missionary to Japan, and he married a woman and came here. And now he teaches school here in Japan. My friend's name is Joe. He's a wonderful man. Over here in central Japan here, this is Honshu. This is a 4.3 magnitude earthquake. Okay? I want to show you something. Look what it says here. It says Eastern Honshu. This is Central Honshu. Central Honshu. They can't even get it right. They can't get it right for whatever reason. I just will never understand that. And it's not just here in Japan or Europe or anywhere else. They misapply earthquakes in the United States, in Alaska. They don't want to be held responsible for what they say. Over here in the Aleutian Islands, okay, I want to show you this real quick. This is a 3.8 in the Andreanof Islands. Okay? The Andreanof Islands here. We go east. This is a moderate earthquake over here, 85 kilometers east-southeast of Adak, Alaska. The Aleutian Islands. Then we come further east here. Just southwest of the Aleutian Island Peninsula. This, folks, is just southeast of Perryville, Alaska. This is the exact same area where we've had 7.8, 8.7 magnitude earthquakes just here 2 years ago. 2 years ago. This is a 3.1 magnitude earthquake today. And you can see all these other earthquakes in Alaska. These are basically tremors. This one here in red just happened. This is a 1.4 tremor here. A 1.4 tremor. Where is it at? Near a volcano. We've got 3 tremors near a volcano. This one here is south of there, a 1.5. Right here, this is a 1.4. Old Ililama volcano. We go north. You can see the other tremors here as well. Okay? Let me show you this one. This one is southeast of Nikiski, Alaska. They have it as southwest. Going north. This is another one. It's a 1.0 west-southwest of Tyonek, Alaska. No, it's not. It is east-southeast of Tyonek, Alaska. This is east of Mount Redoubt. Again, I shake my head. We don't have any earthquakes around Anchorage, Alaska right here. There's no earthquakes around Anchorage here. Going north, we have another earthquake here. This is a 1.6 near Susitna, Alaska. 30 kilometers northeast of Susitna, Alaska. They have it southwest. Okay? Then I'm going to bring this down here. I want to show you some earthquakes up here near Mount McKinley. Right here is a 2.0. They say this is southeast of Denali National Park. No, it's not. It's in Denali National Park. A 2.0 magnitude earthquake. And it's near Mount McKinley. Near Mount McKinley. Right next to it is a 1.0 tremor. Interesting, huh? Further northwest, over here is a 1.5. They say this is east-southeast of Denali. No, it's not. It's west-northwest of Denali National Park. I know it's absurd. I know it's absurd. Up here, this is an interesting place. I'm not even sure totally how to pronounce the location of this earthquake. This is a 2.9 near Allakaket. Allakaket. Allakaket, Alaska. I believe it's Allakaket. That's the best I could think of. This is a 2.9, 78 kilometers. They say it's southeast of New Allakaket, Alaska. It's northwest. Northwest. It blows my mind. Now, folks, this is Central Alaska. Central Alaska. We can go north up here to the Arctic Circle. This brownish gray circle area, this is the Arctic Circle. The Arctic Circle goes up here. Okay? We got an earthquake here. They say this is northern Alaska. For the first time in quite a while, they have this right. It is northern Alaska. This is a 2.6 minor earthquake up here in northern Alaska. They got it right. It blows my mind. At least they got that right. We are still looking for a 5.0 in this same area. Why am I saying we're looking for a 5.0? Because, folks, prior to the Northridge earthquake that also happened here just about 4 years ago, July 4th this year will be 4 years. Believe it or not, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? I broadcast that earthquake. I told everybody about it. But prior to the Ridgecrest earthquake, 2 days prior to it, we had a 5.0 magnitude earthquake up here in northern Alaska, just south of the North Shore drilling areas where they drill for oil and gas. Okay? So we're still looking for a 5.0 earthquake here. We don't have it yet. Okay? But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Another earthquake here. I want to show you this. This is off the southwest shores of Queen Charlotte, Alaska. This is a 2.6 magnitude earthquake. That happened today. This is half a kilometer deep. Does that mean, and the United States Geological Survey did not say this, but I'm kind of poking fun at them, because every time they say that there's an explosion or a quarry blast, a lot of times it's at a quarter mile deep. It's an earthquake a quarter mile deep, and they call it a quarry blast or an explosion. It's neither. It's neither. It blows my mind. They don't get it right. I believe they don't want to get it right, or they never will get it right. But they try to tell us, oh, this is what's going on. Okay? It's interesting how that happens. Now, I want to show you another earthquake here. Okay? This is in this exact same location as this 2.6. The earthquake I'm going to tell you about happened earlier this morning. Okay? This is a 2.6 the USGS has. This is a 4.7. A 4.7. Did USGS downgrade it? I don't know. This is the earthquake earlier today. A 4.7 in the exact same spot. in the exact same spot at Queen Charlotte Island. Okay? Now, I want to tell you about some other earthquakes that have been happening. Okay? Over here in Washington. This earthquake right here to the north, Vancouver Island, Canada. This is a 1.2. They say this is north-northeast of Sook, Canada. I can neither confirm or deny the exact location, except it's at Vancouver Island, southern Vancouver Island. Now, let me show you something else. This is a 1.4 magnitude tremor here near Brennan, Washington. Brennan, Washington. Now, prior to this earthquake happening this morning, I want to show you something else. Okay? Between that earthquake on Vancouver Island and this one here near Brennan, Washington, we had an unconfirmed 3.0 magnitude earthquake here. An unconfirmed report of a 3.0 earthquake. Okay? Near Langford, British Columbia, Canada. A 3.0 magnitude earthquake. Okay? Look where it's located. South of where that earthquake hit, there in Vancouver. It's in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. This is in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. A 3.7. Now, why is USGS not commenting on this earthquake? Why did they not even recognize it? Okay, I want to show you something, and then I'm going to explain myself on this information. Right here, these are felt reports of this earthquake, and I'm going to read you the felt reports on that earthquake. It did happen. People felt that earthquake. People felt that earthquake. In Colwood, it's reported weak shaking. Complex motion, difficult to describe, very short. Someone said, laying in bed, felt like bed shifted slightly, didn't. Okay? Someone near Sook, Washington, said very weak shaking. Someone else said it felt like big thunder. Someone else from Sook said it felt light shaking. Someone else from Sook, British Columbia, said light shaking. Someone else said very light shaking. Rattling, vibrating. Someone else said in bed, split-second rumble approaching, then an abrupt bang. Okay? Felt reports of an earthquake that USGS decided didn't happen. They decided it didn't happen. Okay? Now, with everything that's going on here in the Cascadia subduction zone region, the wide region stretching from out in the water over to here to the Cascade Mountains. Okay? Up here. Okay? This is again in Canada. In Canada. Let's take a visit here. Okay? What are we seeing? What exactly are we seeing? This is a wooded area. A 1.4 explosion, or a combustus carnivorous, spontaneous combustus carnivorous, an exploding tree. Folks, this wasn't, I'm sorry to inform USBS, this wasn't an explosion. There's no reason for an explosion here in this location. This was a tremor here, a microquake. Actually, it wasn't a microquake, it was a 1.4 tremor. A microquake would have been a 0.7, 0.4, whatever. This was a 1.4 magnitude tremor here. Okay? Now, why am I spending so much time here? Okay? This 3.7, I happen to have gotten a statement from Scooter Pie today. That earthquake was closer to Mount Baker. It was close to Mount Baker. A 3.7 earthquake. Why is that really concerning? Because, folks, if it was not at Mount Baker, but it could have been an underground magma chamber leading to Mount Baker or Mount Constitution that is in this area. Okay? Just to give you all something to think about. Again, over here in British Columbia, Canada, I get a kick out of this, guys. Every time I see what they call an explosion or a quarry blast here in Princeton, Canada, I automatically think of a quarry. Because, folks, over here in Princeton, Canada, they do have a lot of quarries. And this one, guys, is an explosion at a quarry. This is a quarry blast. USGS has this as a 2.1 explosion. You can see it's a quarry blast at a quarry. But USBS calls it an explosion. Okay, fine. That's what it is. They got this one right. Princeton, Canada. The last time they had one here in Princeton, they did not get it right. It was another spontaneous combustus carnivorous here in Princeton. Folks, this is an area called the Rocky Mountains. Okay? Over here to the east, you have the Rocky Mountains, huh? So this is in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies. Okay? This is the edge of the craton. They have tremors and earthquakes here as well, coming out of either northern Canada or Alaska. Okay? Now, let's further go south. This one is in Antioch, Washington. It's a 1.7 magnitude tremor. A 1.7 tremor, Antioch, Washington. South of there is a 0.3 microquake. Microquake. We go west. Now we've come on another explosion. Another explosion here in Washington. They do not identify the location. Isn't that interesting too? Look where it's located. There's no quarry blast around. They're not building houses anywhere near here. This is a forested area, so this must be spontaneous combustus carnivorous, an exploding tree. A 1.1 exploding tree. This happens to be 0.9 kilometers deep, a half mile deep. A half mile deep. So this was not an exploding spontaneous combustus carnivorous. Okay? There was no explosion there. This is another tremor in this area. Interesting, huh? we continue to go south. Okay, let's go down here. Hey, we have Mount Rainier here. How about that? Just west of Mount Rainier, this is Carbonado, Washington. Carbonado, Washington, Mount Rainier National Park. This is a 0.1 microquake at Mount Rainier. To the southern end, in the southern foothills of Mount Rainier, we have another 0.1. They call this 14 kilometers east-southeast of Ashford, Washington. Okay, I call whatever. Some women get mad at me when I say whatever, but in this case I really mean that, whatever. Over here on the northwestern flank of Mount Rainier, we have another 0.4 microquake. This is 2.5 kilometers deep. Folks, that's over 1 mile deep inside Mount Rainier. There are tremors and earthquakes happening in Mount Rainier, all over. This one here is north of Mount Rainier. It is a 0.2 microquake. Again, this is just less than 1/4 of a mile deep. Could that have been an explosion? No, this is a volcano. Now I'm really poking fun at them. I don't trust them. You know that. Okay? Then we come down here to Mount St. Helens. Look at this, guys. I just love this. This is over on the upper western flank of Mount St. Helens. This is one of the reasons we did that report as a 43rd anniversary of the Mount St. Helens eruption. 43 years, April 4th. Today is the 8th. Interesting. This one is 37 kilometers, allegedly, northeast of Amboy, Washington. They still don't give us the exact location, which they should. This is up just below the rim of Mount St. Helens. A 0.5 microquake. Again, there are earthquakes and microquakes and tremors hitting Mount St. Helens. But they won't acknowledge that, will they? At least not on maps. We go further west over here near the coast. They have this as near Chinook, excuse me. I know how to pronounce this word, Chinook. Chinook, Chinook, Washington. This is a 1.2 explosion, just over 1/4 mile deep. Let's zoom in on this so-called explosion. Okay, it's over here near a waterway, isn't it? The mouth of a river. Okay. Let's closely look at where this is. There's no quarry blast. Again, this is in a forested area near Chinook, Washington. This is a 1.2 tremor here. Nowhere near being an explosion. Okay? The Columbia River, guys. Over here, here's another explosion. This again is over 1/4 mile deep. A 1.2 explosion. Just over 1/4 mile deep here near Westport, Oregon. 1 1/4 miles west-southwest of Westport, Oregon. It's in a group of trees. This is not an explosion or a quarry blast. This is a 1.2 tremor. Another tremor here in Oregon. Let's back out here. Am I making fun? Yes, I am. Because the agency's stupid. They want us to just go along with whatever they say and not make waves and not say anything. I can't do that. Let me make fun of myself for a second. Those of you that are with me, we have 104 thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. This is an important broadcast. I have not even gotten into the most important part. Hang in there with me, guys. We're going to really go deep with this very soon. There is a method to my madness. Okay? Now I'm going to make fun of myself for just a minute. In my brain, there are synapses, right? Well, in my brain, some people have a synapse that tells them to keep their mouth shut, right? In my brain, that synapse left a long time ago. I have no disconnect between my brain and telling myself to shut up. Yeah, folks, I can't tell myself to shut up. That's why I'm making a big deal about this. People's lives are in danger because this agency can't make the right decisions. This agency can't do what's right for the public. So we have these explosions. We have explosions nowhere near a quarry. Nowhere near anything. Again, this is another 1.2 explosion here. Okay? Near Westport, Oregon. It blows my mind that they get away with this. This is a 1.2 tremor. A 1.2 tremor, guys. Wasn't felt. It's not dangerous. But this area is building in strength. Overall, this whole area is building. Okay? Now, I want you to look at the distance between these seismic events. Because going over here to the western side of Mount Hood, we've got a 0.7 tremor, and they say this is 8 kilometers northwest of Government Camp. Government Camp, guys, is located down here at the base of Mount Rainier. Government Camp. Okay? This one is located just west of the rim of Mount Hood. You can see what I'm talking about. This is just west and down the slope from Mount Hood, from the summit of Mount Hood. Right next to it, we have another one. This is 0.7, and this is a 0.7. Tremors at Mount Hood. But again, there are tremors here, and there's also earthquakes at Mount Hood. Why? Because Mount Hood is getting ready to erupt again. All of these volcanoes are getting ready to erupt again. I'm going to show you seismograms from here tomorrow, because there's some other things that I need to explain to you what is happening. And I think it's very absolutely necessary that we talk about it tonight. I'm going to go over here into Northern California, then I'm going to stop for right now. Over here near Covelo, California. This is in the Mendocino Ridge area. The Mendocino Ridge is an earthquake fault. Directly east of the Gorda Escarpment here. The Gorda Escarpment, the Cascadia Subduction Zone, and the San Andreas Fault meet up here just offshore from Northern California. This earthquake near Covelo, California is in the Mendocino Ridge area. The earthquake fault is just directly west. Excuse me, now I'm getting stupid. It's directly east of the Gorda Escarpment. I believe this is also part of the Gorda Escarpment, but it's on land and it's the Mendocino Ridge. They call it the Mendocino Ridge. One more swarm of earthquakes and then we're done here for right now using this map. Okay? We've got an earthquake here that just happened. This is a 1.1 magnitude tremor here in the geysers. The geysers is a geothermal area where man has drilled into the lake, the upper magma chambers of this lake. Why am I saying the upper magma chambers of this lake? Because this is a volcano, the Clear Lake volcano. So men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of this volcano to pull steam to generate electricity at this geysers facility in Sonoma County, California. Sonoma County, California. Now folks, I've shown this many times. As you can see right here, this is a 1.0 tremor. Just south of it is 0.8. Just north of it, another 1.0. These are earthquakes and tremors here in the geysers range. There's usually somewhere between 20 and 40 earthquakes here every day, where man has drilled into the upper magma chambers of the volcano to harvest steam to power turbines. To harvest steam to power turbines. Let me see if I can locate one of those power stations here. Okay, right here is another earthquake. This is 0.8 microquake. This is one of the electrical facilities here at the geysers. Let me see if I can find a turbine facility here. They're usually all over here, and usually I can find one fairly quickly. This, folks, right here is one of the drill points. Actually, there's several drill points. There's 3 or 4 drill points going in here to the earth, into the earth, over into the magma chamber of the Clear Lake volcano to harvest steam. There's pipes all along the roadways from these drill points going to the turbine facilities. Okay, I think I found one. Okay, this is one of the turbine facilities. Just to the left and upper part of this wide building, there is a line of turbines, for lack of a better term. There's a line of 8 turbines here. Okay, you can kind of see it here. Let me see if I can find a better place here. They're all over the place. There's 80 turbines here in the geysers facility. There's another set of turbines here. There's a couple areas where the turbines stand out here, and one of them's right here, right there. You can really see them better in this photograph, even though even in this one it's hard. They have these plastic lines, these plastic tubes, similar to PVC. In fact, it's probably PVC, that take the steam from the volcano over here to the turbines to generate electricity. Sonoma County, California. This is also one of the locations where they believe that some of the electrical facilities caused a fire here. Sonoma County, California is almost always on fire during late summer and early fall times. At least during the past 4 or 5 years that I've been following this. Okay? But at least one time they believe antiquated electrical equipment may have caused one of the fires here in California, in Sonoma County. Anyway, that's what we have here on the USGS map. We're going to show you some other pictures here very quickly. Okay? I want to get into this because, folks, there's a lot more to talk about. For example, this. This is over in Tetons National Park, just east of Yellowstone. Elon Musk found this. Folks, this is very interesting. Some of you may already know about this. This fissure opened up in the Grand Tetons National Park, and this may be related to Yellowstone. This fissure is 24 miles long. 24 miles long. It's 100 feet wide. 24 miles long and 100 feet wide. Okay? A huge fissure in Grand Tetons National Park. What do you think's going on? Not even the scientists are really willing to say what happened here, except that this great big huge fissure opened up, and it may be related to Yellowstone. Okay? This is northeast to the side of the dome of Yellowstone, 60 miles from Yellowstone National Park. A great big huge fissure opened up the other day. Incredible, huh? Oh, you better believe it, it's incredible. It's hard for me to even realize that yet we have another fissure that opened up. And yes, we have seismic events happening that USGS and the Utah State University doesn't even document. As we have documented fissures opening up in the earth. We had one a few years ago that opened up in the earth in the Antarctic region, the southern part of the earth near the South Pole, the Antarctic region. We had a 9.0 earthquake there. And then several months later, scientists discovered a 12-mile long fissure had opened up in Antarctica as a result of that 9.0 earthquake. And yes, USGS at the time denied that that 9.0 earthquake had happened. Completely denied it. Not saying it was less than that, they denied it happened. And yet there's a 12-mile long fissure that opened up in Antarctica. Then, just a few months ago, we had another 9.0 to 10.0 magnitude earthquake that hit Turkey, Syria area. And another 12-mile long fissure opened up as a result of that 9 to 10.0 magnitude earthquake. In this case, we did not have anything that we even know of. We had no felt report for a major earthquake. Yet this long fissure opened up, 24 miles long. Crazy as it may seem. Crazy as it may seem. Then something else happened yesterday. An Amtrak Chicago train headed to the Pacific Northwest, Seattle area, derailed in Chicago. Heading from Chicago to the Pacific Northwest, according to Metrolink, Milwaukee West, Milwaukee North, and North Central service trains may incur delays and operational changes because of this Amtrak train that derailed yesterday. Yes, another train derailment, this time a passenger train. No one was hurt in the derailment. At this time, it is anticipated that some trains will not operate. Passengers should head out earlier than normal when traveling until this issue is resolved. The Amtrak derailment happened at about 3:10 p.m. Sunday yesterday, as train 727 was embarking on a trip from Chicago to Seattle and Portland. Upon the slow speed departure, this was a slow speed. What do you think would have happened if it would have been higher speed? A departure on the railways usually is 7 to 10 miles per hour, no more than that. Sometimes 5 miles per hour, depending on what the yard length says. Some of the wheels on two cars lost traction with the rail, lost contact with the track. According to officials, there were 196 passengers on board. No injuries were reported as a result of this train derailment. Lucky for them, right? Absolutely lucky. Now, what I'm going to report on next is not very good. This story just came out before I went on the air, which is one of the reasons that I went on the air a little bit late. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine. The International Atomic Energy Association or Commission has sounded the alarm for a nuclear event that may be about to happen. Russia is evacuating the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and the Ukrainian area around it. Okay? There is a claim that Russia has wired it for an explosion. Let me say that one more time. Russia is evacuating the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and Ukraine, that whole area around it. There is a claim that they have wired this power plant for an explosion. Okay? I heard just brief statements about this planned evacuation earlier this morning. What happened to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant? Ukraine's nuclear power plant. There's 3 power plants in Ukraine. This power plant happens to be probably one of the most powerful power plants in the world. Here is where things stand at this power station. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station was among the Ukrainian structures damaged by a barrage of Russian missiles as Russia attacked Ukraine. Though power has been restored several times, they have suffered through many power outages. What are the risks of this power plant? Nearly a year after Russia's March 4, 2022 seizure of this nuclear power plant in Ukraine. The facility remains in a precarious state. The site has endured fire, structural damage, and 5 temporary losses of all off-site power as a result of shelling by Russian troops. And the grid connection remains frail. How does the plant compare to Chernobyl? Unlike Chernobyl, the 6 reactors at the Zaporizhzhia power plant are pressurized reactors. 950 megawatts. VVER 320. This power plant was built in the early 1980s. They have containment structures around the reactor to stop any release of radiation. How big is the power plant compared to Chernobyl? If it blows up, it will be 10 times larger than Chernobyl. An explosion at the Zaporizhzhia power plant would equal 6 Chernobyls. Chernobyl erupted in 1976. I was in Sweden at the time, west of Russia. Referring to the Ukrainian nuclear reactor meltdown of 1986, Chernobyl, widely seen as the most catastrophic nuclear disaster in history, with unparalleled health, economic, and environmental impacts. Russians must immediately cease fire and allow firefighters to establish a security zone. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is 310 miles from Chernobyl and has a total capacity of 5.7 gigawatts, enough power to power over 4 million households. By taking control of this facility and others in Russia, Russia will have the capability to turn the lights on and off in Ukraine. What would happen if the power plant exploded? Nuclear power in Ukraine would go dark. At Zaporizhzhia, the large amounts of spent fuel storage make this risk even worse. Fallout would create a lethal radiation risk across the entire planet site. This isn't the first time the Russia-occupied plant has been forced to run on emergency generators. Experts say that after 6 emergency shutdowns at this plant, the plant is still teetering on the brink of nuclear catastrophe. Water has been pumped out of a nearby lake. This lake right here. Water has nearly been pumped out of this lake. Satellite data shows that the water has been pumped out of the lake to cool the power plant. It shows the water level at the at the reservoir has plummeted to its lowest point in 3 decades. Russia appears to be draining an enormous reservoir here in Ukraine, imperiling drinking water, agricultural production, and safety at Europe's largest nuclear plant. Late last week, the International Atomic Energy Agency said it was aware of the potential risk that's being posed by dropping water levels at the reservoir. Even though the decreased water level does not pose an immediate threat to nuclear safety and security, it may become a source of concern if Russia is allowed to continue. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the director, General Raphael M. Grossi said in a statement, quote, "The Kakokoff Reservoir is a massive man-made lake roughly the size of the Great Salt Lake in Utah. It is the final body of water in a network of reservoirs along Ukraine's Dnipro River. Since the 1950s, it has been used to provide drinking water and irrigation water to parts of Ukraine's southern districts of Kherson and Zaporizhzhia. A lengthy canal leading from the reservoir also supplies Russian-occupied Crimea." And like I said, there are reports that Russian troops are getting ready to blow the reservoir and to blow the power plant. Okay? This report is as of this afternoon. So we're waiting to hear more about this particular situation. It does not look good. This does not look good at all. That's why we're reporting on it. I kid you not, guys. Things are happening. Things are happening. Do we know what's going to happen? No, we don't. The world is waiting, literally, I believe, on pins and needles to see what is going on. Does anybody have any questions so far? The rest of the program is going to be talking about earthquakes in Southern California. I should probably have come on the air yesterday because Caltech released the seismograms yesterday evening. And after they released them, I should have come on the air immediately. The seismograms you're going to see are a result of Caltech putting these up last night. This is Bakersfield, California. The seismograms I'm going to show you for the most part are a lot less in structure than what we've shown you during past weeks, meaning the earthquakes and tremors are not quite as prolific as they have been. The earthquakes and tremors are less than what we have shown during past weeks. Overall. Now, this does not mean that they have ended. I want to make it very clear. What we're telling you is the earthquakes have not completely ended. They may have stopped short, or if what I think is happening, the USGS, in cooperation with Caltech and other seismic energy agencies, are being told by politicians not to be quite so prolific. Don't tell everybody exactly what's going on. This is what I think. I don't know this for a fact about Southern California, but we know that for a fact from other seismographs around the world. They either turn the seismograph machines down or they turn them off. Or the other thing they do, and we've caught them doing it, and I showed you when they've done it, they take a seismogram and put it up at many different locations, as if that energy is or is not happening at that location. We've seen them do it at all of the locations, all of the volcanoes throughout Washington and Oregon. They put up false information that nothing's going on. This, folks, is Bakersfield, California. This is Cal State Bakersfield. All you see here are tremors. Last week and weeks before, we've actually shown you not just tremors, but earthquakes here at Cal State Bakersfield. Let's go over to Baldwin Hills. Baldwin Hills had more seismic energy going on than they do on this seismograph. This is very low on the seismic scale here at Baldwin Hills. Baldwin Hills is northwest of downtown Los Angeles. Baldwin Hills is just that. It's a bunch of hills that used to be very bumpy. Large hills and dales all over. The hills were plowed down, the trees knocked over. They put oil and gas drilling rigs all over these Baldwin Hills. It's a large expanse here. Oil and gas drilling is going on all over the Baldwin Hills. As you can see on this seismograph, we've had larger seismic energy hitting this area before. This is very, very mild compared with what we've shown you here. Baldwin Hills, guys. Let's go over to, before we go further over land, I'm taking you out to the Channel Islands. A couple weeks ago we showed you a lot of seismic activity, earthquakes actually. Not just tremors, but earthquakes hitting the Channel Islands. This is very, very mild. Okay? You're still seeing tremors here, but down at the bottom, the situation's completely changed. Instead of seeing tremors like we see at the top, those are all tremors. 1.1, 1.2, even maybe 1.3 over on the right on the blue line there. Near the top right, on that blue line. That's maybe a 1.3 tremor. But down below, guess what this is? Microquake activity. So either they turned the seismograph way down so as not to give out any information, or they've doctored it. Okay? I'm not saying they did it, but one or the other is possible. Yes, it is possible that things calm down all over Los Angeles. But folks, I've been pointing out earthquakes all over Los Angeles County almost every day for months. For months, including this past week. Okay? This is the Channel Islands. Let's go out to Fontana. This is Orange County. This is Cal Electric Fontana. This is an increase in seismic activity in Fontana, California. Increased activity here in Fontana, California at Cal Electric. Up at the top, folks. Up at the top. Let me increase this in size so you can see what I'm talking about. Up at the top is 5 p.m. yesterday. 5 p.m. yesterday. You see tremors here, don't you? Look at that tall line up towards the left center. It goes off the paper. Look at that tall red line over to the right that nearly goes off the paper. Folks, those are 2.0 magnitude earthquakes. And in the case of both of those, there are two of them on the black line there. Just about 5 or 6 minutes after 5 p.m. yesterday. Then over here to the right, there's at least 3 lines going up to near the top of the paper. This is coming from the red line that's a little bit further down than the black one. If this had been up to the top, this would have also gone off the paper. So this is at least a 2.0 magnitude earthquake, or several earthquakes maybe up to 3 back-to-back earthquakes, 2.0 magnitude quakes. Okay? And you can see other tremors and earthquakes here as well. Okay? Look at that activity just after midnight last night. Okay? That blue line is 12:30 this morning that you see here in the center of your screen. So we go over about 5 minutes after that. 12:35 this morning. We have at least 2.0 magnitude earthquakes happening. And for the most part, this seismic activity continued for 4 minutes. 4 minutes. The greater majority occurred for 3 minutes. Then we have about a minute or so after that where we had a secondary wave. A secondary wave that's diffusing the earlier upper magnitude quake. At least 2.0 earthquake. So it went down from 2.2 or 2.0 down to 1.7, 1.8, 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, and then dissipated. Okay? It had several P waves, it had secondary waves, and then it dissipated into a body wave. Okay? That's a big deal. You can see that same thing occurring on this green line here down below on the left. This is 1:45 this morning. It started happening before that at approximately 1:38, 1:39 this morning. It just continued over on the 1:45 line on the left, and it continued for about 3 minutes. And you can see some others here as well. This is a lot more seismic activity than we've seen here at Fontana in recent weeks. This is an increase in seismic activity here. We're going to see a few of these. For the most part, it's going to be decreased activity. But this is Fontana and it's increased, meaning on the east side of Los Angeles, in the mountain areas, in the hills, we're going to see increased activity. Okay? Let's go north into Chino, northeast into Chino. Look what we're seeing here. The same kind of activity pretty much that we've seen in Chino in past weeks. These are all tremors, guys. There's nothing but tremors here. Up at the top, maybe the first 2 or 3 hours here. Up at the top on this seismogram, from 5 o'clock to about 8 o'clock. Okay, this is actually a reduction of activity. Because so far, every seismogram that we've shown you here at Chino has been completely stocked full of tremors, top to bottom, side to side. On this one, there are fewer tremors here. 1.5, 1.6s, maybe even some 1.7s and no more. Okay? That's what we're seeing at Chino. Let's take a look at Del Amo. This is Del Amo, guys. Look at this. This is kind of the same. The previous seismogram we had here at Del Amo showed a slight bit more activity. Slightly. But this area of Del Amo is still active. Still very active. Just tremors, but still very active. Let's go over to Ellis, California. Okay? This is the least activity we've seen here at Ellis. In previous weeks, this might have seemed normal. The last 2 weeks, activity at Ellis was elevated. Yes, we have no more tremors, but maybe 1.3, 1.4 magnitude tremors. That's it. All the rest of these are 1.1 or even microquake up at the top. Okay? No big deal here at Ellis, California. Then we're going to go to Laguna Bell. Laguna Bell. This is a lot less activity at Laguna Bell than we've seen here in the past. This is over near the ocean, the town of Laguna Bell. It's a bedroom community, mostly with homes. Yes, they do have some businesses there, but for the most part, this is homes. Okay? Residences all through this area. Okay? That's not much going on at Laguna Bell. Today in Las Flores, California. Okay, this is the town of Las Flores, California. This is Orange County. A beautiful town. An absolutely gorgeous town in Southern California. Earlier today, we had some seismic activity. I'm showing you Las Flores over here on the right-hand side. Okay, to the left, to the west, is Mission Viejo. This again is in Orange County. Also to the left, you see Laguna Hills, near the beach. This Las Flores area is inland, in the desert area of Los Angeles. There was a 3.7 earthquake here in Las Flores earlier today. A 3.7 magnitude earthquake, and USGS took it off the map. 3.7 in Las Flores, California today. I want to show you that map so you understand where it's at. Now I'm going to take you into Los Angeles. This is a huge marked decrease in seismic activity at the Los Angeles Civic Center, at the Los Angeles City County building. Almost no activity. This is background. This is nothing but background microquake activity, and this is a marked decrease. Prior to this, we've had tremors. There are no tremors on this particular seismogram in Los Angeles. Huge decrease. Okay, let's take you over to Moore Park. Folks, except for that activity towards the bottom right of this seismogram, this is pretty good size activity. But we had more activity than this during the past 2 weeks here at Moore Park. Moore Park, for all intents and purposes, was top to bottom, side to side, with tremors and even some minor earthquakes, meaning 2.0 to 2.5, 2.8. There's none of that here. Well, I can't say none. Over on the center left here, over on the center left, this is just before This is just before 11:01 a.m. yesterday. That black earthquake there is about a 2.5, 2.6 magnitude earthquake. And it wasn't just one. There's at least 2 or 3 primary waves that are very close in size to the main earthquake. 2.6, 2.7 magnitude earthquake. Beneath that, on the right, just to the right of that, is another tremor. 1.5, 1.7 tremor. Above it and to the right, in the red, you see a bunch of tremors. Above it to the right in the green is another 2.7, 2.8 magnitude earthquake. I think it's more 2.7 than even 2.8. But down here to the right, this, folks, this earthquake was bigger. This is substantially bigger than any of the others on yesterday's seismograph. This, folks, is at least a 3.5 earthquake. This is at least a 3.5 earthquake. Notice the top and the bottom of this seismic signature were cut off. The top and the bottom of this earthquake signature was cut off. Folks, this happened almost at 2:30 yesterday afternoon. This happened at about 2:27 p.m. That's when the tremors really started building. 2.2, 2.3 tremors, 2.4 tremors. Then it went almost immediately to a 3.0 earthquake. But we don't know exactly how strong this earthquake is because the agency cut it off. The bottom and the top of this earthquake have been cut off. But this is at least a 3.5 magnitude earthquake. Now there are some substantiation here. There is some substantiation. Why? Because people felt this quake. And they reported it to the news media, to KNX radio in Los Angeles. They reported shaking in this area. But it was not until later yesterday when Caltech released these seismograms that we have proof that this earthquake did happen. Okay? So people felt this quake over there in Moore Park and the surrounding area. Okay? And over just underneath that quake, folks, that red line over on the left is 2:15. Over here, it's almost 2:29 p.m. Almost 2:29 p.m. The black line over there where this first earthquake, this big earthquake hit, that's about 2:13 p.m. Okay? Then we have a tremor at 2:29. Then we come down here to the left at 2:31 p.m. Just after 2:31 p.m. we had another earthquake. This was probably a 2.5 magnitude earthquake. And for all intents and purposes, this is the only earthquake that we had beside, well, not the only, I'm sorry, that's not true. We probably only had 4 or 5 small earthquakes. 4 minor earthquakes. The biggest one was at least a 3.5, and I just showed you that. Okay? We have evidence because people called in and said they felt shaking. Okay. All right. I don't know whether I showed you Del Amo. This is Del Amo. Okay? In the past, we've had quite a bit of seismic activity here in Del Amo. There's nothing but tremors here. That's all that happened in Del Amo. Okay? Now, I've watched some LA police chases, sheriff's office chases here in this area. Beautiful area. Residential area. Yes, there's some businesses here, but we have tremors here. No big deal. Nobody's going to feel a tremor. Nobody. But this may also be a slight increase. Okay? Now I want to go over to light hype. Light hype. Now I don't know whether to trust this seismogram or not. Okay? Last week's light hype seismogram showed a ton of earthquake activity. A lot. Top to bottom, side to side. Earthquake activity. 3.0 earthquake activity. All over. Yes, there were some tremors. But 2.0 to 3.5 magnitude earthquakes around here on the light hype seismogram. Okay? This is over by Long Beach. This is over by Long Beach. Let me take you to State Street. And this is where it becomes a little uncertain about that particular seismogram. Look at light hype. Light hype has been crazy, and State Street has been crazy for a very long time. Tremors and earthquakes hitting all over. Look at the top of this seismogram at State Street. Okay? Yes, you see some 2.0 magnitude earthquakes at the top. Earthquakes that go off paper here are at least 2.0 on the red and the black line there at the top. So we do see some 2.0 earthquakes, minor earthquakes. But then, all of a sudden, the seismic energy diminishes every once in a while here. And it stays diminished for a long time period. We have not seen this kind of activity in quite some time here near Long Beach on State Street. What we see is what we see at the bottom 2/3 of this seismogram. Almost side to side, wall to wall seismic activity. 2.0 to 3.0 magnitude activity. Why do I say that? Look at the bottom of this seismogram. Let me magnify this a little bit. Let me raise it up in the air so you can see it. Okay? On this green line here at the bottom. Let me move it over to the right a little bit. This seismogram is showing activity after 4 p.m. Over on the black line there on the left, it's 1600 hours. That's 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. So at the bottom green line is 4:45. So after 4:45, you really get to see what happened on the rest of the seismogram. These are earthquakes. These are earthquakes. Some are 3.0 magnitude earthquakes here at State Street, just east of Long Beach. We've seen this before. It's continuing now. Okay? So I kind of take light hype with almost a grain of salt, because both seismograms usually echo the other. But light hype does not. It hardly shows anything going on. Okay? We have earthquakes at Long Beach. We know that. We see it almost every day that we monitor these seismograms. So Los Angeles is moving, guys. Los Angeles is moving all over. But that's not the only place. Okay? Let's go out to, well, I showed you Fontana already. That's a lot of earthquakes and tremors around Fontana. Let's take you out to Idlewild. Idlewild is out in the desert area. It's typically called the Anza Gap. This area in the San Bernardino Mountains is the Anza Gap. All we see are very tiny tremors here. Tiny tremors. But if we go just a little bit north and west, what do you think we're going to see? What do you think we're going to see over in Loma Linda? I want to show you Loma Linda now. Or Miraloma, I'm sorry, Miraloma. Miraloma is just south and west of Loma Linda. What are we seeing here? Tiny tremors and growing tremors. Okay? This area could also be part of the Anza Gap. Okay? We've seen 2.5 and 3.5 magnitude earthquakes at Loma Linda this past week. We know larger earthquakes are possible in this area. I honestly thought they'd show some yesterday, but they're not. Okay? Yes, the agency might have doctored some of these seismograms. They may have. I'm not saying they did, but they may have, because there's a lot of difference between seismograms yesterday and seismograms of previous weeks. Even at Miraloma, there are more tremors than they're showing there. Okay? I've showed you Idlewild. Let's go over into Orange County and show you Hemet. This is a Hemet San Jacinto campus. This is a college campus where this seismograph is. Okay? This is just barely any kind of tremors. We've had more tremors and larger tremors here than they're showing now. They're hardly showing anything now. Like I said, for the majority part, all of these seismograms show less activity yesterday than they have in past weeks. Could it be that things are settling down in Los Angeles? I don't think so. I don't think that's possible, considering what we've seen here. Okay? All right. North Hollywood. North Hollywood, the last 2 weeks, was not showing anything but trash. So I did not show you North Hollywood. But here we've also seen in past weeks a lot more activity than this. There's nothing here than minor tremors at all. Up at the top, probably microquakes. Probably microquakes, but you're seeing tremors here as well here in North Hollywood. Like I said, there's been a lot more here in the past. Okay, let's show you I want to show you Pardee. Okay? Look here in Pardee. This shows a lot of tremor activity. We've seen more activity here at Pardee in the past. This is a lot of tremors, just very, very minor tremor activity here in Pardee. Okay? Like I said, we've seen a lot more than that in previous weeks and months. A lot more activity. Okay? I'm going to take you now north and west over to the coastline. Playa del Rey and Marina del Rey area. This is the most silent seismogram that I've seen here in this area. Yes, this area is in effect a very bedroom community of people with a lot of money. Okay? Just offshore at docks, they have boats, big boats. They have yachts. This area is very affluent, but almost nothing happening here. This is not always what happens here on the Marina del Rey, Playa del Rey seismogram. But we're not done here. We're not done here. I want to show you Rio Hondo. Rio Hondo seismogram showing nothing but microquake activity. Every once in a while, I can't say nothing but once in a while a tiny tremor comes up. But this is almost nothing but microquake activity here at Rio Hondo. Okay? Let's go over to Riverside. Riverside has had more activity than this as well. We've shown you a lot more activity here at Riverside because Riverside has increased in activity. Now it's significantly decreased. We are expecting a very large earthquake to hit here. It's going to turn Riverside upside down. But it surely doesn't look like that right now. It's fairly quiet. Very, very quiet. Okay? Good night, Sage Pup. We appreciate you, brother. Sage Pup is one of my dearest friends. I appreciate him very much. I'm glad he was able to be here tonight. He's a good guy. I don't trust the agencies, guys. I really don't. And there's a reason. Because they haven't given us anything really to trust. Okay? NanoGaf says it looks like a repeating pattern. You're right. That's why I say there's a lot to distrust with these seismograms. A lot. Okay? And honestly, I hate saying that. I really hate saying that. I'd like to give them the benefit of a doubt. But even here at Riverside, this is very little activity. This is nothing but tiny tremors. Nothing less than tiny tremors, and nothing more than that either. Okay? Now, before I go south, okay, most of the time when I've shown you China Lake, all we've had there are 2.0 earthquakes at best. At best. Guess what I'm showing you here? On this seismogram, guys, look what I'm showing you here at China Lake Naval Air Weapons Center. Okay? This is after 5:15. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5:19 p.m. yesterday evening. This, folks, is a 3.3, 3.5 earthquake. On the red upper top here, on the left. Okay? About 5:19 p.m. yesterday, we have a 3.2, 3.3, maybe even upwards of a 3.5 magnitude earthquake here at China Lake Naval Air Weapons Center. Okay? I wanted to show you that. Okay? Because like I said, we've never seen anything more than a 2.0, 2.2, and that's about it. Isn't that interesting when we see a good-sized earthquake out at China Lake? Okay? It's almost crazy. When I saw that, I said, oh my gosh. There are 3-point earthquakes, 3.0 and larger earthquakes here in Southern California. Yes, there are. But like I said, it looks to me like they've taken them down. Like they're doctoring it. Let me go over to San Diego now. This is the San Diego seismogram. It comes from the SDG&E office. over just north of Mission Valley in San Diego City. Okay? Look at this, guys. This seismogram has been turned so far down, it's showing 2 tremors, and that's it. Excuse me, I gotta get a drink of water here. 2 tiny tremors here in San Diego. This is a Rose Canyon fault. This area would be the Rose Canyon fault. After it leaves Rose Canyon here, or not Rose Canyon, this is what they call Loma or Linda Vista. This area would be Linda Vista, California, in San Diego County. Okay, after it leaves this area, it goes into this is San Diego City, but it goes into the downtown area. It moves south into the downtown area, and then the Rose Canyon Fault goes out into San Diego Harbor. But here we see just a couple very tiny tremors. Usually there's more than this. Sometimes they turn this seismograph off. We've seen them do that before. But in the past month or so, we've seen a lot more seismic activity on the seismograph that's located at the San Diego Gas and Electric office over in just north of Mission Valley. Okay? Now, as I go east, grab hold of your seats, guys. As I go east, seismic activity increases, believe it or not. Seismic activity will increase. Yes, it blows my mind. It really does. Oh, before I go into the desert, Rancho Palos Verdes. This is Rancho Palos Verdes. Okay? This is south of Colton. I'm sorry, not Colton, south of Carson City. Okay? South of Carson City. Almost nothing here. Absolutely nothing here in Rancho Palos Verdes. Unheard of. Usually this seismogram is crammed with tiny, or not tiny, but small tremors. Crammed. Nothing here today at all. Okay? It looks like some tiny tremors trying to make their faces known over here on the top right-hand side, and a couple other places to the bottom of this, but that's all. Is the seismograph turned so far down that the seismic energy has to be larger to have an effect on the seismograph to record the activity? Possibly. Possibly. Have they turned these seismographs down? Possibly. Or off. Or off. Okay? So let us go east. I want to show you some seismographs out in the east now. Just want to make sure I've got everything covered here. Okay? I want to go over to Walnut La Puente before we go south. Look at this. They did not turn this seismograph down. They left this alone. This is exactly what happens here at Playa del Rey Mission, or Walnut, California. Walnut La Puente, California. Not Playa del Rey. I showed you Playa del Rey earlier. I'm sorry. That's over at the beach. This is not. This is east, Southern California here. Walnut La Puente on the east side of Los Angeles. This is also a volcanic caldera. So these earthquakes that you're seeing may be the result of magma beneath the surface. Look at these earthquakes here. Many of these seismic signatures have been cut off top and bottom. Some of them have not. I'm going to start in the center top here with this earthquake on the black line. Okay, this is about 7:11 a.m. yesterday morning. The top and the bottom have been cut off. This is now, right here as we see it, this is at least a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. I will bet you that this is like a 3.7 to a 4.0 earthquake. Okay? Look at all the rest of these earthquakes. They are up in the 3 range. Almost all of them are in the 3 range, including at the bottom of this seismogram. Okay? Look what we're seeing at the bottom of this seismogram. Let me enlarge this for you. Look at that, guys. Look at this. This is off and on all over the place, probably close to a 3.0 earthquake in the blue and the green. This is off the chart here at the bottom. Okay? They didn't cut off the top. The bottom's cut off by the paper. Okay? This is what we typically see at Walnut La Puente. Walnut La Puente. Okay? So there is seismic activity in Southern California. A lot. A lot, guys. This does not just happen. Okay? Let's go east. Let's go south and east. I'm going to take you out into eastern San Diego County. Southeastern San Diego County. North of the border. Okay? This is Campo, California. C-A-M-P-O, California. This seismograph is actually sitting at Campo Elementary School in San Diego County. Look at this. These are tremors all over the place here. Folks, this is the Elsinore Fault here. This is the Elsinore Fault. Look at all these tremors. These are not big, these are tiny tremors all over the place. This is more than just background microquakes. Yes, we have some microquakes here as well. This is a lot of tremors though. This is East San Diego County. Now I was going to show you another one that's north of here in El Cajon, just east of El Cajon. It's called the Pechanga Casino. But they did not show the Pechanga Casino today. So I don't know what they did with it. The Pechanga Casino is usually pretty active with minor tremors all over, a lot larger than this. But again, this is the Elsinore Fault, the southern area of the Elsinore Fault here. Now, let's go over into Imperial County on the east side of the Chocolate Mountains. Okay? The east side of the Chocolate Mountains. Usually I would show you a school there called Cuyamaca High School. But again, they've turned off the seismograph at Cuyamaca High School. Cuyamaca High School is at the top of the Chocolate Mountains. So now we're going to go east of the Chocolate Mountains over to the area of the Salton Sea in Imperial County. I'm first going to go over to the north side, the north side of the Salton Sea, the northeast side of the Salton Sea. This is North Shore Salton Sea. Okay? All you see here are tiny stretches of tremors. Tiny stretches of tremors here. Okay? This is kind of typical of what we see at North Shore. Okay? Let's go south. I really love this, guys. I'm getting the thrill out of this. I'm getting the thrill out of this. I want to show you okay, let's go over to the central east side of the Salton Sea. Actually, the south central part of the Salton Sea. This is Bombay Beach. This is where the San Andreas Fault runs south underneath the Salton Sea. Prior to this, it runs down the east side of the Salton Sea, very close to the Salton Sea, but on the east side of it. Here is where the Salton Sea, the San Andreas Fault goes underneath the Salton Sea. Okay, the Salton Sea spreads out. Here we see earthquakes again. These are full-blown earthquakes. In the past, some of these earthquakes have been even larger. Some of them have even been larger. But folks, you can see 3.0 earthquakes here. There's no doubt in my mind what we're seeing here, what we're looking at. These are 3.0 earthquakes for the most part. Yes, there are some 2.0 magnitude earthquakes as well. 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, but you get my drift. Okay? For a good share of it, these are upper or mid-range to upper threes. Okay? We're going to show you earthquakes now, literally all around the Salton Sea. Okay? Incredible. It continues. The earthquakes are continuing around the Salton Sea. Go figure. Go cotton pick and figure. What I find incredible is this, that the agency pretty much tells us to go kiss a doorknob. But folks, here they're still showing good-sized earthquakes, although maybe, just maybe, they have cut down on the seismicity, meaning they have lowered the extent of the earthquake. They're not showing everything. Okay? They're not showing everything. I think they're coming close, but not showing everything. That's my opinion. Okay? But we're still seeing good-sized earthquakes here at Bombay Beach. Now, I want to take you over to the southern end, or not the southern end, but south of the Salton Sea. South of the Salton Sea. I want to take you over to El Centro, south and east of the Salton Sea. The seismograph here is at El Centro Naval Air Station. El Centro Naval Air Station. Look what we're seeing here. We're seeing a lot of good 2.0 earthquakes here, aren't we? We're even seeing some larger quakes as well. over on the top right on the black line here. Okay? This, folks, is 6:13 a.m. yesterday morning, Sunday morning. This, folks, is a 3.0 earthquake. This earthquake at the top right on the black line is a 3.0 earthquake. We see some other tremors to the left, don't we? On the green line in the center here, at the top, or near the top, that's probably a 2.7 magnitude earthquake, maybe a 2.8. There are several 2.0s here as well. As we drop down in the center here as well, just about 12:55 p.m. yesterday afternoon on the green line. We're showing at least a 2.6, 2.7 magnitude earthquake. We're seeing a lot of tremors here, aren't we? A bunch of tremors. Last week, this was full of earthquakes and a few tremors. El Centro Naval Air Station. Let's go just a little bit further east. Okay? Let's go show you what is going on at Imperial. Imperial is a small town just south of the Salton Sea. Now, I did not bring up Westmoreland, and I probably should have. Westmoreland is crowded with tremors. Westmoreland is crowded with tremors. But this is just south of Westmoreland. We see a lot of tremors here too. Last week, we showed you some 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here. Today, it's nothing but tremors. And even then, very mild tremors. Tiny tremors. Okay? There's even a few microquakes here at times as well. This is unusual for Imperial, California. Let's go even further south to Holtville, California. The Salton Sea Desert Research Station. The Salton Sea Desert Research Station. This is typical at Holtville. Now, if you remember, the USGS map didn't show much in the way of any earthquakes or tremors here today, did it? Just for kicks and giggles, let's stop this here. Okay? I'll bring this back in just a minute, because I want to show you the USGS map again. Okay? I want to show you the difference in what they say and what is real. What they show us and what is real. Okay? This is where the rubber meets the road here with the USGS. And I see that they've frozen the map. And that's all right. I have a way to unfreeze it. There we go. We have the USGS map back. Okay, let's go down here into this border area. Okay, the USGS map here shows one earthquake here. This is a 1.4 in Calipatria. I have not yet showed you all the earthquakes and tremors here in Calipatria. There are quite a few, not just one. Okay? Down here, just north and west of Heber, we've got a 2.1 here, don't we? A 2.1 minor earthquake here. Okay? So we have two seismic events here in the Imperial Valley, don't we? Okay? 2. That's all. No more than that. Okay? Let's go back up here to the seismogram. Okay? This is where the rubber meets the road. Folks, this is Holtville. This is a Salton Sea Desert Research Station in Holtville. This is probably about 7 miles north of Heber. Look at all the tremors here. Now, folks, these are 1.5 tremors at least, maybe 1.6. These bigger tremors are 1.5, 1.6 tremors here. Look at that. There are lesser tremors as well. USGS shows us 2 events, one being a tremor at Calipatria and one being a 2.1 magnitude earthquake down just northwest of Heber, California. Okay? Why is this a big deal? Because they're not showing us what is going on. The USGS is not showing us what is happening. They are still lying about the events. They are not telling us the truth about anything. Like I said, they don't know what the truth is. Literally. This is Calipatria, guys. This is Calipatria. There are over 150 earthquakes and tremors here. There are over 150 earthquakes and tremors here in Calipatria on this seismogram. And it's not just here in Calipatria. This seismogram is covering most of the Imperial Valley. Look at the events here. Up at the top, yes, up at the top center there, in the dark blue there, we do have a 2.0 earthquake. But we have a bunch of tremors here, don't we? Okay? The top of this seismogram was yesterday evening, Sunday evening. Sunday evening. Caltech has not shown us anything about today at all, except this. This, folks, is this morning going into this afternoon. You can see the change of day over on the left-hand side. Let me enlarge this so you can see it. You can see the change of day to 5/8, May 8th here. Look at the increase in seismic activity here. Okay, look at this. Look at that big earthquake in red there. The red is computer generated by the computer to get the seismologist's attention. That, hey, this is something that you need to see. This seismograph has also been approved by the seismologist. Okay? You see several larger earthquakes here, including that big red thick one there. Okay? Then we have a pretty tall earthquake over here on the left. It's actually 2 of them. And I believe these 2 earthquakes, one happened at 2:17 a.m. this morning, and the other one just after 3:03 this morning. 2.2 2.0 earthquakes. We have several 2.0s and even tremors here. Look at all these seismic events, and yet USGS isn't showing much of anything. Okay? This seismograph is recording a lot of information all over the Imperial Valley. USGS doesn't want us to see anything. It's very apparent what is really going on down there in the Imperial Valley. Now, I'm not going to stop my earthquake advisory. Considering everything that we have seen, okay, yes, it's 1 week ago, just a little over 7 days ago, actually 9 days ago, when we saw 3.6s, 3.7s, up to 4.5 magnitude earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley. We saw them here in the Imperial Valley. Folks, I still believe that this seismic energy is still there. You can see it here. You can see it on all the other seismographs that we've shown you tonight. The energy's still there. The tremors are still here. When you see swarms of earthquakes and tremors like you're seeing here, this is indicative of a larger earthquake that's going to happen. A larger earthquake that's going to happen. I'm not putting this out as a warning. This is not a warning. This is an earthquake advisory for a much larger earthquake in Southern California. Possibly down here in the Imperial Valley. Possibly at the border of the U.S. and Mexico. Guadalupe, Victoria, where it was some 13 years ago, with a 7.1, 7.2 major earthquake 13 years ago. It can still happen, guys. The energy's still there. They're hiding seismic energy in Los Angeles. I've shown you the seismic energy that's still in Los Angeles. They're downplaying the seismic energy in Los Angeles. It's very apparent what they are doing and what they're not doing. They're not telling the truth. Folks, I need you to take this information to heart. I need you all to tell everybody that you know about tonight's program. This is real. This is very real. Let there be no doubt about it. This is very, very real. I kid you not, guys. I need you to take it out to everybody. Okay? I'm not trying to make it hard for anyone. But I want this information to go out because it's important. This is very, very important. People need to hear about this. They need to hear about it. There is a much larger earthquake coming. It's a matter of time. It's literally a matter of time. We've shown you a lot of information. I hope you all have enjoyed it. You have 160 thumbs up. I would love to see 200 thumbs up. So please give us a thumbs up if you believe on your way out, if you believe that our program tonight has been worth it, has been beneficial to you. Please share it with everybody you know. Your family, your extended family, your friends, your neighbors. the people you work with, and even the people that you are meeting on social media. They need to know this. They live in this area. A lot of people live in Southern California, and this, folks, is going to benefit them and their families. You need to have an emergency preparedness plan. You need to write a preparedness plan detailing exactly what you are going to do during and after a major event in your life, an emergency or a disaster in your life. This could be unemployment, it could be a major earthquake, it could be a tornado that destroys your home, it could be a flood that inundates your area and your home and your property. It could be a wildfire. Nova Scotia's got wildfires going crazy right now. It could be anywhere, guys. It could be anywhere. It could be affecting any one of us at any time. Hurricane season is starting. We shall see what happens in the Gulf and down in the South Central Pacific. It's happening. Folks, I have one more thing for you. I try to leave you with something positive every night. I've been doing this for a very long time now. I want to go over to Corinthians, the 3rd chapter in the New Testament. Starting with verse 14. Corinthians chapter 3, verse 14. If any man's work abide, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy, for the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. Therefore let no man glory in men, for all things are yours. All things are yours, brothers and sisters. Let no man defile the temple of God. Ye are the temple of God. Brothers and sisters, please take this thought also into your lives. You are sons and daughters of God. God loves you. God wants you to return to Him. May we do that. May we work to that end. I love you, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, I would not even be doing this. Okay? Please know that. God bless you. God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. May God be with you until we meet again. We will see you around the corner. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, guys, good night, God bless, and we will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.